Hi, I'm Lisa K. Donner, along with Graham Noble, Sarah Calgill, James Fight, and Jeff Charles. And this is the Conservative Five, Liberty Nation's online TV news program. On today's episode, the Conservative Five debate who will be victorious in the GOP taffy pull, MAGA or mainstream. Then the gang will dive into the latest invasion of snitching or patriotism, whichever you prefer, in The Whistleblower Takes Center Stage. Then we discuss the loneliest place on earth in Is Disney World Dying in Darkness? Finally, it's a wrap with a game not worthy of prime time in Just for Fun, Volume 19. All this and more coming up in this edition of The Conservative Five. Who makes up the Republican Party? That seems to be the question on liberal minds these days. In a breathtakingly partisan speech, President Biden called out millions of MAGA Republicans as public enemy number one. Some leftists insist the GOP has gone rogue and is in the evil grip of Donald J. Trump. Others say, no, the GOP has not really gone full MAGA, so what gives? Well, panel, welcome to the confusion. Graham, I recently argued in an article for Liberty Nation that MAGA is nothing more than a catchphrase for the America First platform. And the GOP has clearly gone over to the MAGA side, in my opinion. I'd love to hear your insight.
Well, the short answer to that, Lisa, is yes, you're correct. I mean, the left has tried to make this word MAGA, which obviously stands for Make America Great Again, which you'd think nobody would be able to argue with that concept. But anyway, they've tried to actually make this new word MAGA into something sinister and menacing, almost kind of let's be brutally honest here. They're almost equating it with basically fascist or Nazi. It's a new concept. It's
not almost. I mean, they're saying semi-fascism.
Yes, they are. That's true.
There it is.
I was trying to be a little nice, but you're right. Absolutely, they are absolutely saying that. But we remember. I can't help thinking of the Jussie Smollett incident in Chicago. And the reason why I bring this up is because there's this guy, this not at all famous thespian, who's walking down the street at 2 a.m. On a frigid Chicago night. And by some coincidence of cosmic proportions, he comes across, the only two Trump supporters in South Chicago who happen to recognize him because, of course, they're big fans of his show, Empire. And what do they scream at him? They scream, apparently, this is MAGA country. You see, and this is all part of this. They've invented a new word, it's a new political philosophy. And they're trying to conjure up sinister images of Trump standing, giving a speech in front of, a sinister blood red backdrop where he's screaming that his political opponents are a threat to the country. Oh, wait a minute. No, that was Joe Biden, of course. But really, is MAGA a threat to democracy? What? Claiming, disputing the outcome of an election like the Democrats have been doing since 2016, or, political violence, the way Democrats, set fire to Washington, D.C. after the 2016 election. I think on the day that Trump was actually being, the electoral votes were being counted, which Democrats on Capitol Hill actually tried to prevent as well. So, basically what it comes down to is there's nothing new about Make America Great Again. Okay, Trump captured lightning in a bottle in 2016, but he didn't invent that entire philosophy. That's what conservatives have wanted for years. All the things that Trump was pushing for. The answer is yes, the GOP is MAGA. And even those Republicans who want to maybe move on from Donald Trump himself are still following that Make America Great Again philosophy.
Yeah, I think Democrats are having problems grappling with this question that the GOP has turned America first. Jeff, do you see this as the issue with the Democrats? I mean, isn't this as obvious as the nose on your face?
Well, I mean, that may be the trouble for everyday rank and file Democrats who don't really understand what's going on the right, mainly because they don't really talk to people on the right. But when it comes to President Biden in the White House and the messaging coming from politicians about what's a MAGA Republican or what's a mainstream Republican, in the words of my uncle, these people are lying and the truth ain't in them. And they're playing on the fact that their base doesn't really understand what a MAGA Republican is. Like, what does a person who identifies as MAGA actually believe? The thing is, even if you're non-MAGA, but you're anti-establishment, policy-wise, you have a lot in common with people on the MAGA side. Really, the only real difference is the level of populism involved. MAGA tends to be a little bit more populist than others. But Biden was lumping pretty much everybody in with that and using MAGA to describe people who like to riot at the Capitol and things like that. That's what he was trying to do. And I don't care what he said the day after, because he probably forgot what he said the day before, but he tried to walk it back. No, that man said what he said, and he meant every single bit of it. And it was specifically designed to convince his base that people on the right are scary people who want to violate their rights and that they're in line with the people that rioted at the Capitol.
Sarah, I'm waiting for you to chime in.
Woo! Well, they're, short story made long, boys. Honestly, let's face it. When you have a speech and you call half of the country semi-fascist, and behind you stands two Marines basically standing guard, the imagery is very strong. And you could call me MAGA, you can call me conspiracy theorist, but no president should ever use the military, even if it's just an optic, to show force that, we'll take you out. And that's, I think, what he was doing. Yeah, he walked it back, but he's so out of touch. He doesn't know, who ties his shoes in the morning. And I'm not sure it's Joe Biden. But the other thing is, Democrats, I don't think we're fascist, all of us. I think there's one or two, and they're the ones with the bullhorns. So, I don't know, but I don't think there's a rift in the Republican Party. I think it's already MAGA.
Yeah, but Joe Biden's a man of the people, Sarah.
Shut up,
He used
Tim.
to be a truck driver, for crying out loud.
Shut up, Tim.
Among many other things, yeah.
Oh,
apparently.
yeah.
But here's the thing about it, though, is that I was looking this morning, actually, reading about a new poll, Reuters Ipsos poll, that apparently is being touted as proof that most Americans view MAGA, whatever that is, as a threat to democracy. But I'm thinking, well, you can always reverse poll numbers. If 25% of Republicans said it is a threat to democracy, that means 75% of Republicans believe it isn't. And out of those, who knows, when they answer those pollsters over the phone, are they saying, oh, yes, MAGA, threat to democracy, because they're a little, intimidated by being asked about it and they want to say the right thing? Who knows? But it's the Republican Party, I believe, is still overwhelmingly going with that philosophy now. And I think there's no disputing it.
Well, look how we know this. I mean, just look at the primaries, right, Jim? You've been covering the primaries like crazy.
Graham made a good point about the reverse of the 25% with being the 75%. That's who you got to look at. Also, we got 1,000 respondents out of 340 million citizens in the U.S. 180 something thousand legal adults. I'm sorry, million, not thousand.
and Democrats were slightly oversampled, just by a little bit.
And
slightly oversampled in that
so where did these 1,000 people come from? I didn't get a phone call out in my neck of the woods.
Let me just say something. I've been covering polls and writing about polls for 40 years. Every pollster will tell you that national polls are not worth anything. They're not worth their salt. And then polls that are not conducted with likely voters, but just anybody who picks up the phone, that's another bell that should go off in your head. But anyway, it appears that mainstream Republicans and Democrats agree that Trump and MAGA must go. Whether that's a reality or a wish will only become clear after November 8th. We'll keep you posted. Whistleblower mania has invaded the U.S. much like the Beatles did in 1964. Every great scandalous political news story seems to have a tattletale responsible for the sordid mess. Hunter Biden's laptop is one great example. The multiple FBI whistleblowers are wreaking havoc at the J. Edgar Hoover building, not to mention those blowing the whistle on Elon Musk and the Twitter deal. It seems like every day a new whistleblower comes forward. Are these folks snitches or patriots? Jim, name the scandal and I'll find you a whistleblower who's behind it. Why is this happening so much in American politics these days?
I think the more important question is, why hasn't it been happening for a whole lot longer? Look, I love these people, especially the ones exposing government wrongdoing and malfeasance.
Well, that's originally the dictionary explanation for what a whistleblower is.
Yeah, we've kind of expanded that out with, like, you got the the Facebook, Twitter whistleblowers, and they're okay in my book too. But I mean, like, all right, let's look at Hunter Biden, right? So now we're hearing that the FBI agent assigned to be the point man in charge of dealing with Hunter's old business partner, whistleblower, Tony Bobulinski, I think it is. Now there's news coming out that's saying, like, this guy actually suppressed evidence. I'll be clear, an allegation that this agent actually suppressed evidence.
Yes, and attorneys for Tim Tebow's, the FBI agent, obviously not the athlete,
right,
are denying this.
Right, but evidence that the big guy referenced in Hunter's emails was, in fact, as many may have suspected, surprise, surprise, Joe Biden. These people in our government are entrusted with a great deal of power over us. But I think it becomes too easy to forget that they're supposed to be our servants, not our rulers. So when it comes to exposing the wrongdoings, I'm all about it.
Anybody out there remember the Snowden case and how the perception has kind of shifted and changed from way back then?
Hey, I was with Snowden back then.
Snowden was a hero. He was a hero, and now it's like, I don't know. Well, maybe it's just a change.
Well, wait a minute. Sarah, let me ask: if we consider Snowden a hero, then do we consider Julian Assange a hero?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm okay with anybody.
Sorry, I know my name is Sarah, but the answer to that is absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I don't care. Leak the truth all day long. It's the made up crap that drives me nuts. Leak the truth. I don't care, but it depends on who's in power and how well it goes over. Now they're just making enemies out of everybody, and depending on who you want to pick on, you might wake up dead. And I know that sounds very drastic, but somebody debate me on that issue right now.
I think a lot of the problem we got here is that, and the reason why whistleblowers are these days kind of almost persecuted by the agencies on which they are blowing the whistle, is because we have this permanent government bureaucracy where it's almost impossible to get fired from your job if you are a federal bureaucrat in the federal government. And they have these, just, you're set for life with a job like that. You have these, you have these pensions and other benefits and healthcare, and it's the just about the cushiest job in the world and the safest job in the world to be a federal government bureaucrat. And so therefore, when somebody does step up and say, hey, there's some funny business going on here, everybody else is terrified because they're doing anything they can to protect this solid, future that they have in front of them. And I think we would get a lot more people blowing the whistle on government malfeasance if you had, I don't know, for want of a better term limits on government bureaucrats. These people shouldn't be as safe in their jobs as they are. And they shouldn't get all the benefits that they get. And I think if working for the government was less of a perfectly secured future, then I think people would be more willing to actually come forward and say, hey, there's some things not right here.
All right, Jeff, but is it more that they've been there a long time, or that they're not parsing out, their jobs impartially?
I think it's a little bit of both. I mean, if you've been there for a long time and you've been acting politically and getting away with it, why wouldn't you stop? If you're being corrupt and nobody's doing anything about it, why would you stop? You have power. And that's the problem. Our government has gotten so bloated, and it's gotten so I don't know what the word is, but they've put in protections now for people in government so that it's almost impossible to fire them. I'm hoping that if more of these whistleblowers come out, I mean, you had more from the FBI saying that they don't have confidence in Christopher Wray's leadership. We need as much of that as possible, because when this stuff is exposed, then the people will hopefully the people will rise up and say, no, we need people who are going to go in there and change things. And I know Trump tried to change some things on his way out, but it was too late. We need more of this. I mean, our trust in institutions has declined, according to a Gallup poll released a couple months ago. And I think that's a good thing. We do need to have a healthy skepticism, because we're never going to solve these problems if we blindly trust them. But I think the problem is that a lot of us just don't know that this stuff is going on. We're distracted by, I hate Republicans, I hate Democrats, black and white people don't get along. No, while we're doing that, the elites are doing all kinds of stuff that is not good for any of us, and it's not going to end up in a good place.
Yeah, I'll
I
just
want to
throw
point
this out
something
there.
out to Graham. That Graham, most federal employee jobs are boring. They're not where you are in any position to see or hear or be a part of the scandalous, interesting stuff. So for those people that just go to work every day, 8 to 5, take an hour for lunch, take their 10-minute coffee break and their 10-minute soda break, they probably deserve a pension, because that's got to be the most boring, horrible job on the planet.
I don't know. I personally, the libertarian in me tells me that every single person who works for the federal government should live in constant fear of losing their job.
It's a choice to be made. Do you choose to work for that beast? You gotta. You want to rep the tags? You gotta pay the consequences.
Yeah,
Well,
I agree with Graham. Everybody,
it's put in place to help people who are just doing the job that they're hired to do. They're called covered employees. And it's put into place so that every 4 years, somebody can't just wipe them out and put in every idiot that comes in with a new leader of the free world. And that's a good thing, because you just can't whack everything going on. You have to have some sort of tradition. You have to have something in place.
Continuity.
And that is a good point, Sarah.
yeah.
That's a
Continuity. Thank
point
you.
taken.
I'm going to push back just a little bit, because I do agree that continuity is important. But remember when Trump got into office, you had a lot of those Obama holdovers that were explicitly working against his agenda politically. So I do think there needs to be more of a balance. Continuity is important, but at the same time, if somebody's actively working against the commander in chief, the one who runs the White House that the people elected, they got to go.
Well, they should go. And that's why those people are usually at the will. And if you are at the will of whoever is in charge, Trump just kept them on, and then probably shouldn't have.
Yeah.
But he should have just cleaned house. Anybody who was an at-will employee, which means Obama personally brought them in or Obama's cronies brought them in, then they should have been whacked immediately.
Well,
but you don't try to go out and fire the minions, the grunts, the people that keep the wheel moving.
Right.
So,
I think we've stumbled upon the real problem here.
You take out your at-will people. You don't ever take out the lower guys.
Jim,
You got to
final
have
word.
something in place.
I think we've stumbled upon the real problem here, and any libertarian, or for that matter, country folk out down here in the South will tell you this: the wheel's too big. Probably a good 75% of those jobs shouldn't exist to begin with.
Agreed.
Yeah, well, there we are. Whistleblowing is an act of courage fraught with landmines, personally and professionally. But perhaps that's the point. Those willing to take such a risk with nothing to gain promotes believability. Thanks, panel. Right now, Disney World in Orlando is about the dullest place on earth as ticket holders amble about the park wondering aloud if they missed the closed sign at the hotel or while riding the monorail. Magic Kingdom is pretty darn empty, which appears to signal that a corporate wokeness backlash has begun. Sarah, you wrote a very popular article on Disney this past week for Liberty Nation that had tongues wagging. What is your assessment of the situation?
There's a lot of things going on with Disney. Obviously, the corporate wokeness has become a thorn in their side. The argument, the fight, the flat-out fight, and Disney getting involved in the parental. Gosh, I wish I remember the name of this legislation. I'm sorry, but it became the "Don't Say Gay." The LGBTQ activists went nuts on this, and they said, "Oh, can't say gay anymore because the governor is doing this and that." And then Disney picked that up and made a big statement on it. So One, I think you've got political problems. People do not like to listen to musicians or watch actors who have a political stance. They want them to do what they're paid to do. Disney is paid to entertain people and to provide a nice, safe environment for families. What they haven't done is they haven't provided a nice environment for families because it's way too much money. And on the other hand, you've also got school starting back up. So it's kind of like the perfect storm. Disney is probably a ghost town right now. And a lot of it is the money, and a lot of it is the corporate wokeness and the fight, the spats between the governor and the people. And you've got Newsom coming in from California. You've got the New York mayor, Eric Adams, coming in, and they're just picking and they're ticking people off as they do it. So
Jeff,
a lot of people are just saying don't support them.
Okay, so Jeff, I'm wondering why the corporations feel like they have to go woke. Is there something in everybody's charter?
I think part of it is that some of these people are true believers. They're woke and they agree with a lot of this stuff. I think a lot of it is because, but I think the other part of it is that progressives are in charge of a lot of the institutions. They're very, very loud. They're fringe, but they are loud. So a lot of these companies are afraid of getting canceled, or they think that it's going to preserve their revenue as long as they can stay in the good graces of the woke Sanhedrin. So I think I think a lot of that is what's going on. Now, there are some corporations that are starting to push back, and I'm hoping to see more of that. But then this is going to create a more siloed atmosphere where you're going to do business with the company based on what their politics are, or vice versa. So it's a really troubling trend, but I think the only way this gets reversed is if they're too afraid of pissing off people who aren't woke.
All right, but Graham, there's the business of Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos and the guy from Starbucks. I mean, more and more we're starting to see the CEOs are like not down with the cause.
Yeah, well, I think following on from what Jeff said, and it's a very good question to ask oneself is, are these corporations woke because they believe it's genuinely good for business, or are they woke because they're scared of getting canceled, or are they just fanatical? And I believe that in most cases within these corporations, actually, there's not too many people who are fanatically behind this whole trans rights ideology and all the rest of this stuff. I just don't believe that. The reason why they're afraid of being, one would have thought it would be counterintuitive to go woke when you're a big, massive corporation with a huge customer base, because chances are the vast majority of your customers are not interested in the whole woke ideology thing. But the problem is, it's not so much that the fanatics are controlling the corporations, it's the fanatics are controlling the crazy people who will cancel you are in the powerful institutions of the entertainment industry and particularly of the media. And so therefore, that's why these corporations go woke, because they're frightened of the media and the entertainment industry ganging up on them and exerting that influence they have in order to cancel you.
Graham, you brought up an interesting point. I always wondered, places like Nordstrom, you're saying they're really large organizations. Exactly. Do only liberals shop there, or do conservatives shop there? I mean, I always thought, aren't they cutting off their nose to spite their face? Do conservatives not spend money?
Yeah, that's the thing. I think they are. They're doing that, but it's because they are afraid, because the media in this country is so overwhelmingly controlled by the political left, and the media exerts this enormous influence. And I think it's that really, more than anything else, is driving these companies to, they're basically being intimidated into going with this wokeism, even though they surely know that the majority of their customers are not interested in that. But I think the pushback really is being customer driven. I think what's happening, this is happening to Disney, and it's happened to a lot of other corporations, that they've started to realize that their business really is being negatively affected, because more and more people are actually willing to say, no, I'm not doing business with this company.
What, Sarah?
I don't think wokeism is what's killing Disney. Disney is an $81 billion enterprise. A family of four, I could not afford this. I can guarantee you that. Family of four once you're at Disney, not getting there, not plane tickets, not driving, not whatever. Once you're there, a family of four is going to spend $7,500 on food and hotel and park passes.
Yeah, but you know what, Sarah? This is not new. Disney has always been expensive. Yeah. Their cruises are expensive.
But it just keeps getting more expensive. This economy can't handle that. And our economy and inflation is killing that right now. I don't think you can pin this all on wokeness. And the other thing is right now going on at Disney is that travel is down, school's back in session. So you don't have one specific thing that is killing Disney. I don't think it's wokeness. I think it's a part of it. And I just think it's going to ramp up again.
All right, Jim, you just wrote a story for Liberty Nation Day, and Graham brought this up about the media. Even the media is starting to try to come back to center. Don't you see that?
Yeah, well, and I mean, I get what Sarah's saying, but I kind of got to disagree a little bit. We tend to think of voting as something you do with a ballot box. But people vote with their dollars and they vote with their feet too. And I get it. I get the exorbitant price of Disney. I had no idea what it cost to go to Disney, so I looked it up. If I were to have all expenses paid except for getting in the gates, it would cost me about $600 to walk onto the premise with my family for a single day.
If you lived in Orlando, right?
Right. And if I didn't have to pay for parking, if I didn't have to pay for food or anything, if it was just the tickets to actually have a 1-day pass, to stand in line, to spend 3/4 of my day like you do at any theme park, standing in line or walking around, $600. So yeah, that is
Smart Water is $5. You know, Coke is $5. It's
right. That is prohibitively expensive for the vast majority of people in this country. But and that is getting worse. But that has pretty much always been the case. What's different now is Disney World used to be one of those things that was like, maybe someday we'll save up for it. Now Disney World is, the company Disney is a company that I don't even want to give my money to, regardless of what they give me in return.
Right.
And look, you can only vilify and alienate people so much before even the most forgiving of us and most practical are finally going to say, you know what, I don't care how much I want the product or how little I care about the politics. I'm done with them.
Yeah, exactly.
People were having issues with Disney's programming for a while before this whole feud with Ron DeSantis. I think that's
always had issues with
pushed a lot of people over the edge. I do agree that there are multiple factors contributing to this. Of course, it's never just one thing. But I mean, I think people, when they went against Ron DeSantis, and even a lot of Democrats agreed with the Parental Rights and Education Act, I think that's hurting them. I really do.
But I do want to take a moment to appreciate a term Jeff used earlier that I've seen it before in his articles on libertynation.com, but I haven't heard or seen it in a while. I'm just going to repeat it. Woke Sanhedrin.
Very nice. Very nice. Sorry,
that is what they are. It's a religion. Wokeism is a religion, and they have a Sanhedrin that is responsible for meting out punishment for not adhering to their orthodoxy.
Well, conservative families may well boycott Disney. We will find out in the future. Thanks so much, panel. And we're off to the wacky races this week to play This and That and Why in a segment we call Just for Fun. One, two, three, 4, or 5. Jeff, I'm going to you first.
1.
There we go.
This.
It's been a while since I've gotten one.
Imagine that.
This, a cheeseburger cooked to perfection for the rest of your life and nothing else, or that, a vegan diet for the rest of your life with a full menu.
Would you like to sample our vegan bacon? 100% meatless.
Yes, please.
Which do you pick and why?
I'm going to surprise you guys, and I'm going to go with the vegan.
No.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Me too.
See, here's the thing. I can't eat the exact same thing every day. Like I'll go nuts. On top of that, I'm trying to watch my diet. I'm staying away from bread. Burgers have bread. So at least if I'm doing a vegan meal, there's some variety there, and I can improvise and whatever. But if I'm just eating a perfectly cooked cheeseburger every day, it's going to be like a couple of weeks before I get tired of that. And all that sugar, I'm losing weight. So I'm not trying to
sugar and cheeseburgers. What?
He's talking about the bread and the sauces and all that.
Oh
good
man,
stuff.
I'm going vegan all the way. I can have Chinese food. I can have salad. I'm not doing a cheeseburger every day for the rest of my life.
I like a grand total of 3, maybe 4 vegetables. And if I go vegan, I'm giving up all meat.
Let me guess. Corn, potatoes, French fries, which are still potatoes.
Yeah.
Corn's okay. Broccoli, cauliflower, and Brussels sprouts. Well, and potatoes.
I hate Brussels
sprouts. You do like vegetables.
I'm going to go with a vegan as well, and here's why. I'm not I guess most people like a good cheeseburger now and again. I maybe eat a cheeseburger perhaps once a month. But here's the way I'm looking at it. I agree with you, James. I don't want to eat the same damn thing for the rest of my life every single day. But
that's Jeff.
And of course, if you're on a vegan diet,
Jim is the same day.
But if you're on a vegan diet, you are condemning yourself to a kind of a sickly, feeble, joyless existence. Which is basically the same as being.
Good thing Andrew's not on panel today.
But that's the same as being a registered Democrat, anyway.
We're going to get loads of emails from.
I have never in my life eaten a meal that didn't include some form of meat that felt like an actual meal.
Okay, we got that punchline. We got that punchline.
Just figure if you're on a vegan diet, you're probably not going to live as long anyway as if you.
So you don't suffer as long.
So exactly. You're curtailing your suffering. Yeah.
All right. Well, that was spirited. Let's go to Sarah. 2, 3, 4, or 5. Sarah.
3.
Plenty of trail mix for 2 weeks straight in the middle of the Appalachians. Lost. That. A gun loaded, but no extra ammo, 2 weeks straight in the middle of the Appalachians. Lost. So I guess what you're saying is that the trail mix is lost, or that is the ammo is lost.
Oh no, you're lost in the Appalachians.
No,
you're lost either way.
You're lost in the Appalachians, and you either have a gun, or you have trail mix to eat. I'm going to pick the trail mix.
You're not going to pick the gun.
Nope, because I'm going to be hungry if I'm lost. And trail mix has fiber and protein, and I've got enough to eat for however long I'm lost, versus I got to kill something and figure out how to eat it. And yeah, I'm picking trail mix.
I know.
Bone up on your survival skills, Sarah.
Here comes Jim, right?
You got to bone up on your survival skills, Sarah. If you've got a backpack or 2 full of trail mix, there's a good chance you and that trail mix are going to get eaten by a bear.
and Jim is the hunter in our group.
Yeah.
So
I'll
kill
take
the bear and then figure out what to do with it, Jim.
I'll take the loaded gun
and then starve to death. Go ahead.
No. You don't. You don't kill the bear. Only if the bear attacks you.
I say you don't go anywhere near the bear.
Right. You avoid the bear. But you take the loaded gun so you have self-defense. Then you forage, you trap, you improvise stuff to fish if there's water around. I mean, where I'm from, that's just a weekend anyways.
Well, who says you have trapping and forage? I mean, you can forage, but who says you have trapping and tents and things like that?
Is Jeff our Eagle Scout? Who's our Eagle Scout? Graham, who's our Eagle Scout?
No. but my military background tempts me to ask the first question is, what type of gun are we talking about? Because the option was,
are we talking about a single shot shotgun?
Because the option was a loaded gun but with no extra ammunition. So what kind of gun? I mean, are you going to give me a infantry support weapon with a a belt fed 300 rounds and a drum magazine? I'll take that. Or have I got a revolver with 5 or 6 bullets in it?
Okay.
But this question isn't even relevant to Graham Noble. What bear is going to be stupid enough to try to take on Graham Noble?
Oh, look, an eagle.
He doesn't even
I'm
need a
gonna
gun
say
or
Graham's
trail
gonna
mix.
pick.
He'll hunt with his
Graham-
hands and punch the bear, eat whatever. This isn't even a
No,
thing.
Graham's
for
gonna go
Graham
with trail
Do
mix.
not mess
He doesn't
with
need a
Graham
weapon.
J. Noble.
You do not mess with Graham Noble. Even bears know that.
All right, Graham, you're up. 2, 4, or 5.
I will have 5, please.
This, work at the new CNN with a small salary and a free reign on content, or that, take over Tucker Carlson's spot as Fox announces it is now socialist leaning. Wow.
Wow. Yeah. Interesting.
Okay. This new CNN with free reign on content, or Tucker Carlson going socialist. This or that.
Yeah, I'm assuming the implication here is that if you take the CNN option, you're going to be getting paid probably about 1/10 of the Tucker Carlson option. But then again, if Fox went socialist, that probably would no longer be the case anyway. I'd have to go with CNN, obviously. I mean, free reign on content. Oh, I could be dangerous with that.
Just the thought of Graham at CNN. Just paint that picture for a second, guys.
And just loving the idea of being able to go to work every day and walk down the hallways in the office and just everybody just terrified of you, even more so than now. That would be great. Yes. Yeah.
The irony of a Graham J. Noble at CNN.
That's just too much.
But all those employees
Delicious.
are going to go to Fox.
Right.
All
That's
right,
true. They'll all be gone. Yeah.
Jim, I am pulling rank on you, and I'm going to make you take 4 because I want 2.
Okay.
This, the only transportation you have for 10 years is a horse, and you live in a climate that has typical 4 seasons: snow, rain, dry leaves, or snakes.
That's snakes.
That, the only transportation you have for 10 years is an old bicycle. No shifting speeds. You live in a climate that has typical 4 seasons: rain, snow, dry leaves, and snakes. Which do you take?
I got to go with the horse, hands down. I mean, they're more work to take care of, but it's a whole lot easier to go uphill on a horse. And look,
You can also get through snow.
no doubt, through snow. They're useful for more things than just riding. And hey, getting anywhere is going to take longer on a bicycle or a horse than it will in my truck. So with a horse, I got companionship, right? I got somebody to talk to. People look at you funny when you talk to your bicycle.
I have to agree with you. I mean, a bicycle's, and again, it's not any good.
Oh, we're not even talking about like a good mountain bike either.
Yeah, exactly.
Nope, just a regular old bike.
I'm taking number 2. This, Ron DeSantis as president for the rest of his life, or that, Donald Trump as president for the rest of his life.
What a stupid question that is.
Okay, I'm going to go with Donald Trump for the rest of his life because he's definitely unusual, but he really knows how to get things done. He has a track record, let's face it. DeSantis is young, I would think, he could be president for 8 years at some point, but I don't know if I'm ready to pin my hopes on him for life. Anybody else?
Hey, a
would pick
lifetime.
Trump too. I would pick Trump
I'm
too.
with Trump.
And this is going to sound a little macabre. I know.
Oh, Jeff, come on. You're not going lifespan, are you?
I do not want a president for life or for like a long, long, long time. I don't care if I like him. Trump is already up in years, so for the rest of his life wouldn't be as long as it would be for DeSantis.
Oh, that's good.
Yes. Yes, I'm with you, Jeff, and I'm going to piggyback off that since you beat me to it.
There's a reason why people always get us mixed up, Jim.
I know, right? I'm going to piggyback off that with something else. The other reason, Trump's got a thing for loyalty, right? So I want to pick Trump, and I want Trump to know that I picked Trump with no hesitation.
Oh,
Well, I may as well just clear out here and pack up and leave the studio because Jeff said it for me. He's exactly right. I think I would be tempted to pick Trump anyway, but I actually thought about that. There's no way I want anybody to be president for life, and so Trump's
older.
It has to be said, but let's just be realistic. His term as president would be shorter, but for many other reasons, I'd pick Trump actually as well. But that's the main one, just because we'd have less time dealing with a president for life, which is a horrible idea.
You're all going to say DeSantis. Sarah, what do you say?
I'm going to say Trump as long as I know who his vice president is.
Tim Donahue.
I just want to know who's going to take over when he finally kicks the bucket.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
Tim Donner will be his VP.
Who?
Tim Donner.
Okay, there you go. Well, folks, now you know how quirky the folks at Liberty Nation are. And we hope you enjoyed this fun panel. Thanks for watching. That's it for our Conservative 5 panel today. Check out our other C5 shows and segments on your favorite video platform. YouTube, Vimeo, Rumble, we're on them all. As well, Liberty Nation has its own Roku channel where you can see all of our TV productions. Thanks so much for tuning in. And remember, surf on over to libertynation.com. Join us in the member zone, just $17.76 for the year. Thanks to our fantastic editor and post coordinator, Frank Diorio, and our executive producer, Sarah Calgill. I'm Lisa K. Donner, editor-in-chief. Thanks for joining us today. This has been a production of libertynation.com, where truth is making a comeback.